C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. To tell the tale of fortune, from the words I was born, I am a person with extremely dense yin qi. I will probably have evil spirits pestering me in the future. Since I was young, I have always lived with caution, and even the slightest movement in the wind and grass would make me feel uneasy. Every April, my parents would come to the southern temple of Guanyin to ask for a talisman. Under their care, I passed 24 years without any mishaps. Mom and Dad both died in a car accident in the first half of this year. Other than sadness, no one else asked for a talisman for me. Without the amulet, I'd be fired for every job I found, except for one crematorium. The salary of the crematorium wasn't bad, but its reputation wasn't very good. After a few months in the crematorium, I was getting used to it. On the way home from the evening shift, I always felt a chill behind my back. But when I summoned the courage to look back, there was nothing behind me but an empty road. There was no one on the road at this time of the night, and the street lamps were not very bright due to the dust. I walked quickly along the road with the flashlight on my cell phone, hoping to get home. Ever since I was a kid, I had spent almost every day in this state of paranoia. A small sound would have scared me quite a bit. This really isn't superstition, my yin aura is indeed very strong. Because my hair is so long and I'm growing so fast. Long hair, heavy yin aura. Suddenly, I heard a sound behind me. The entire world was so quiet. Aside from that slight sound, there was no other sound. I swallowed and cold sweat broke out in my palms. That I told myself that this was not a ghost, that I should stop being so paranoid and scare myself. But the more I thought about it, the more frightened I became. That I walked faster and faster, and the voice followed me like a shadow. The trees by the side of the road swayed in the wind. The shadows of the trees on the road were like demons baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Who? I turned my head abruptly, pretending to be calm. However, there was no one behind me, not even a shadow. If there was someone, but there was no one, then where did the sound of footsteps come from? Just then, I looked down and saw a thin, coarse stray cat on the road. It had been following me, and the voice was also that of a cat. The cat's eyes were green, and in the dim light it looked surprisingly cold. I whirled around and ran home. That I turned on the lights as soon as I got home. I wanted to go and drink some water to calm myself down. I dare not look in the mirror as I pass, and at night I am always afraid to look in the mirror. I know that I am a little too timid. This is all my fault. I love to read supernatural stories since I was young. After reading it all night long, I didn't dare to sleep. Add to that the fact that I work these days with dead people. I'm even more afraid that the bodies I have put on makeup will suddenly come looking for me, or follow me home. Although I've only heard about this kind of bizarre thing from colleagues, I'm really afraid that it will happen to me. Even though I was scared, it didn't affect my daily life. What I should do was still what I should do. When I felt a chill behind my back, I could only forcefully endure it. When I went to work the next day, I found a package on my workbench. After asking around, no one claimed the package. That I didn't have this package when I left last night. Did someone give it to me? But who else in the world would give me a present? But he didn't know I worked at the crematorium. Out of curiosity, I prepared to open it. He was hoping it would be a bunch of flowers or a box of chocolates. When he opened the package, he found a bright red patch. I took out the fabric. It was a fine, bright red wedding dress. The bright red wedding dress, the colleague's surprised face against the ruddy color. This piece of cloth held a lot of weight, and every detail was handled very well. Its whole body had a majestic atmosphere, giving off the feeling of a mother being able to rule the world. Wasn't this worn by the ancient people? Who's going to buy this? And it was on my workbench. When her colleague saw the bridal dress, his eyes went straight to the point. She excitedly said, "Quickly put it on and take a look." Not convenient, right? I said hesitantly. Wear it. If you don't wear it, won't it be a waste of the effort of those who have a crush on you? I bitterly smiled as I explained, no one has a crush on me yet. Can you tell me about it? I'm about to get married, so it's not good for others to hear about it. As I spoke, I put on my wedding dress. Due to the heavy weight of the clothes, my colleagues also came to help me. When I was dressed and looked at myself in the mirror, I felt blinded. It was true that people relied on clothes to wear, but wearing such high-end and high-end clothes made me look like a lady who was about to be married off. My colleagues were clicking their tongues, taking pictures of me and praising my clothes. This is the first time I'm wearing this kind of clothes, and I'm very happy. He looked at himself in the mirror for a long time before he finally took it off, but just as I was about to take off my clothes, something bizarre happened. When I wanted to take off my clothes, I found that there was a knot on the belt of my bridal dress. The knot was wrapped around a lot of knot, so it was difficult to untie it just by looking at it. Weird, I clearly wasn't like that just now. I didn't tie such a complicated knot. When my colleagues found out that there was such a big knot on my wedding dress, they all laughed and said that I was wearing a Chinese knot. That I just smiled and didn't tell them I didn't call. Because this was a crematorium, it was filled with dark energy. What if a girl like this scared someone? When I brought the scissors to cut open the dead knot, I found that no matter how I cut, I could not cut it. Everyone exclaimed that the tape was too good, but if I don't untie this tape, how am I going to take it off my body? Do you want me to put on such an exaggerated wedding dress? The crematorium was a very serious place. At this moment, my superior shouted at me from afar, "Li Shan, bring this corpse over." My boss was on the phone and didn't seem to notice my wedding dress. After a moment's hesitation, I ran over and pulled the cart with the body. We are a separate crematorium here, only responsible for cremation. This crematorium occupied a large area and was probably the largest in the city, so it was particularly busy that I have almost no rest every day. I need at least a few thousand cremated corpses in my hands. When I first saw the body cremated, I felt that people were really too weak and insignificant. Then I got used to it and decided it wasn't a big deal for a corpse to be burned into a pool of oil. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.